right, so previous chapter, man. In this chapter, what we're discussing is basically the underlying competencies of just kind of like being a fucking. I forgot what we're studying. A business analyst. Like, what are the things that you kind of like that need to be within your mental framework? And so the previous chapter was analytical thinking and problem solving. That makes sense because we're trying to figure out solutions to problems and also figure out the problem that's kind of like that could be fixed. Because when it comes to business analysis, we don't necessarily have to see the problem, or I think that's, I don't know if I should just keep saying business analysis or just look at what business analysis is literally the structure to life. Because ultimately, like you guys, you know, something is not right when something is not right. Sometimes it's numbers, sometimes it's stagnancy, sometimes it's just aggression, sometimes it's behavior, sometimes it's just random stuff. But like you kind of figure that something could be done differently, could be better, and that you don't know what to do it, you don't know how. So what you end up doing is kind of like start shaking everything until something kind of like feels stronger than the other or feels closer than the other, and then basically from there. So, like, one of the competencies to handle these kinds of things is analytical thinking and problem solving. The other one is behavioral characteristics, and like that, these are characteristics within your behavior. You have to have specific ones. And here, basically, the core competencies include ethics, personal accountability, trustworthiness, organization and time management, and adaptability. So I'm going to read, but I already have a theory around this. Like you kind of have to be ethical, and the reason for that is if you're not ethical, then you're probably going to lie about whether there is a problem or not, or what the problem is, which probably means all of your work is going to be wasted because even if you produce something, it's not a result that's kind of like replicable. I don't know. Like if somebody slaps me in the face and my face is kind of like swelling, right? The problem is I got slapped in the face. So if I'm not ethical about the fact that I got slapped in the face, and like again, like we're using a metaphor for the problem, why is your face hurting? Oh, I did not kind of like want to say I got slapped, so I'm not being accountable, not taking accountability about the slap itself. I will probably take medicine for something completely different, hoping that it will cure the slap that I got. Right? I don't know why slap in the face came to me. But it's because like most of the time we're ashamed. That's why we kind of like lie. It's not really because we're holding the truth. It's because most of it's embarrassment, and other it's because it's personal gain. So personal accountability is taking responsibility in something. Being organized actually allows you to produce something. Trustworthiness means like I can rely on you to get something done or to do something, or at the very least to be on the direction where something is being done. Be adaptable because most things change, and ethical, as in like actually don't hide stuff. Just be honest, be truthful. So behavioral characteristics are not unique to business analysis, but they have been found to increase personal effectiveness in the practice of business analysis. These characteristics exist at the core of every business analyst's skill sets. Each of the behavioral characteristics described here can impact the outcome of the practitioner's efforts. Like, remember why right now I just theorized what ethics, personal accountability, trustworthiness, organization, time management, and adaptability are. Theory. They could be different things. But I do that because you kind of throw what you think and then you check if what you're reading or what you're studying or what you're experimenting with actually makes sense. I think business analysis also teaches us to us from the beginning because you consistently have to like think what could be the case and then kind of like research to prove it right or wrong. The core competencies of behavioral characteristics focus on the skills and behaviors that allow business analysts to gain the trust and respect of the stakeholders. Business analysts do display consistently acting in an ethical manner, completing tasks on time and expectations, efficiently delivering quantity results, and demonstrating adaptability to changing needs and circumstances. Ethics. All right. What's the ethics? What's the purpose? Behaving ethically and thinking like ethical impact to others and on others allows business analysts to earn respect from the stakeholders. you're not working alone, right? The ability to recognize when a proposal, solution, or requirement may represent ethical difficulties to an organization or its stakeholders. It's an important consideration that business analysts can use to help reduce exposure to risk. It's funny, I only took ethics personally, but here they're like, all right, if you're not ethical in how you approach things, then probably you're going to cause more problems than solve. And you're going to have more issues with the people that are not comfortable doing stuff, right? That are unethical, stealing, uh, over what's it called, overcutting, as in like when you're instead of actually, what am I trying to point out? Instead of actually, I don't know. Sometimes instead of going the straight road, you kind of like try to screw somebody over. It's like all of these are ethical things. So definition, ethics requires an understanding and focus on fairness, consideration, and moral behavior through business analysis activities and relationships. Ethical behavior includes consideration of the impact of the proposed solution. It can have all the stakeholders and groups and working to ensure that those groups are related as fairly as possible. Fair treatment does not require the outcome be beneficiary to a particular stakeholder group, but it does require that the affected stakeholders understand the reasons and decisions. So transparency as well, right? Awareness of unethical issues allows business analysts to identify when ethical dilemmas occur and recommend resolutions to these dilemmas. They're not really saying you have to be ethical. You just have to understand ethics in order to see how the stakeholders like interact with this kind of shit. Right. The effectiveness measures are basically prompt identification and resolution of ethical dilemmas, feedback and stakeholders confirming that they feel this, you want to hold these from the beginning instead of like kind of get to them by the end. Decisions made with consideration of the interest of all stakeholders, reasoning for decisions that is clearly articulated and understood, full and prompt disclosure of potential conflicts of interest, and honesty regarding one's abilities, performance of one's work, and accepting responsibility for failures and errors. All right, and then we have accountability, personal accountability. It's important for a business analyst because it ensures business analysts take tasks are completed on time and to the expectations of colleagues and stakeholders. Yeah. Personal accountability is reliability and responsibility. It enables the business analyst to establish credibility by ensuring that business analyst efforts meet the needs of the business. Description, personal accountability includes effectively planning business analysis work to achieve targets and goals and ensuring that value delivered is aligned with business needs, involves chasing down all leads and loose ends to fully satisfy the stakeholders. Like, you really like milk the cow dry. Following through on a fully completing business analysis task produces complete, accurate, and relevant solutions traceable to the need. Business analysts take responsibility for identifying and escalating risks and issues. They also ensure the decision makers have the appropriate information in order to assess impact. Effectiveness measures of effective personal accountability include work effort is planned and easily articulated to others. Work is completed and planned on pre-planned with sufficient reasoning and lead time. Status of both planned and unplanned work is known. Stakeholders feel that work is organized. Risk and issues are identified and appropriately acted on. And completely traceable requirements that are delivered on time and stakeholder needs that are met. Right? Like, personal accountability is literally just stepping up. Trustworthiness, earning the trust of stakeholders helps business analysts elicit business analyst information around sensitive issues and enables them to help stakeholders have confidence. Trustworthiness here is kind of like reflecting on your people's image of you. And the recommendations will be evaluated properly and fairly. Remember, you're dealing with people, and a lot of times people are just weird, awkward, or just personal. Like they hold things together. Trustworthiness is the perception that one is worthy of trust. Business analysts being considered trustworthy may offset the natural fear of change experienced by many stakeholders. Several factors can contribute to being considered trustworthy. Intentionally or consistently completing tasks and deliverables on time with budget. Reliability. Okay, so like this, yeah. Presenting a consistent attitude of confidence that colleagues, stakeholders consider the business analyst demeanor as strong. Acting in an honest and straightforward manner, addressing conflict and concerns immediately so that colleagues and stakeholders consider the business analyst morals as being honest and transparent. Maintaining a consistent schedule over a long period of time so that the colleagues and stakeholders consider the business analyst availability predictable and reliable. Effectiveness measures. Measures of effective trustworthiness include stakeholders involved in the business analyst discussion and decision making. Stakeholders bring issues and concerns to the business analyst. Stakeholders are willing to discuss difficult and controversial topics with the business analyst. Like really, just like, when you show your trustworthiness, you don't have to go to people, right? Like if you remember or the beginning of these chapters is us going to people and trying to get information from them. But if you build that trust, if you build that relationship, if you show people that you're personally accountable and that you're ethical and you're organized and you respect other people's time, right? And you're adaptable, and they start coming to you with ideas, thoughts, and you don't necessarily have to kind of like create, dive, and like build a whole lot on your own anymore because in a way everyone's trying to support you to succeed. And your success is their success. But that's basically the transition that business analysts do because like ultimately something has to change and a business analyst is that trigger to change. And in a way you have to show people that is what you're trying to do and you're not trying to screw them over. Because a lot of people are afraid of change and don't necessarily see that change, how change will affect them. Right? So Jason agrees how stakeholders respect the business analyst ideas and referrals and how stakeholders respond to the business analyst referrals with positive feedback. 9.2.4 Organization and time management. The purpose is organization and time management is to help analysts perform tasks effectively and use work time efficiently. It involves the ability to prioritize tasks, perform them efficiently, and manage time effectively. Business analysts are constantly acquiring and accumulating significant quantities of information. This information must be organized and stored in an effective manner so that it can be used and reused at a later date. Business analysts must also be able to differentiate important information. So effective time management requires the ability to prioritize tasks and deadlines. Techniques of organization include establishing short and long-term goals, action plans, prioritizing tasks, utilizing a checklist. Techniques for effective time management include establishing time limits on non-critical tasks. I learned that a lot when it comes to coding because like what is it you're trying to code helps you a lot instead of just like diving into something. What are the effectiveness measures? The ability to produce deliverables in a timely manner. Stakeholders feel that the business analyst focuses on correct tasks at the right time. Schedule of work, effort, and deadlines is managed and communicated to stakeholders. Stakeholders feel their time in meetings and reading communications is well spent. Complete preparation for meeting, interviews, and requirement shops. Relevant business analysis information is captured, organized, and documented. Adherence to the project schedule and the meeting of deadlines, provides accurate, thorough, and concise information in a logical manner which is understood by the stakeholders, and maintains up-to-date information. So basically, organization and management is basically reporting and scheduling, right? Well, at least for the people that you're working with, because that's ultimately what you're showing them your work. Everything you do is so that they could see it, understand it, and act upon it. As a business analyst, it doesn't mean you're in charge of anything. It just means you're kind of like showing them what they're missing. The last one is adaptability. It's like basically because you're working with rapidly changing environments and with a variety of stakeholders, so they adjust their behavior, style, and method of approach to increase their effectiveness when interacting with different stakeholders, organizations, and situations. Adaptability is the ability to change techniques, style, methods, and approach by demonstrating a willingness to interact with the complete task in a manner preferable to stakeholders. Business analysts can maximize the quality of service delivered and more efficiently help the organization achieve its goals and objectives. Having a curiosity to learn that others need and processing that courage to try and different behavior is adapting to situations and context. There's a lot of words for nothing. Business analysts sometimes have to modify the way they interact, the way they conduct interviews, the way they facilitate. You're getting feedback and changing, right? That's what adaptability is. Like different stakeholders have different levels of comfort with techniques. Again, techniques, like some people you really want to make them feel like you're their friend, while other people need to stick to professionalism and everything in between. Some people you kind of can call and be like, "What's up, dude? Listen, I want this from you," and while other people kind of like require an email and shit like this. More verbal. Some stakeholders would be more verbal. Some stakeholders would be visual. Right? Being able to determine which techniques will work with each not. It's exhausting, basically, shifting characteristics from one person to another. In the event that the goals and objectives of the organization change, business analysts respond by accepting the changes and adapting to the new mandate. Similarly, when circumstances arise or unanticipated problems occur, business analysts adapt by altering their plans and identifying options that can be used to deliver maximum value. The business analyst adapts when the business or stakeholder needs to change, or when the context of the goal or the objective changes. Naturally, that's when we have to adapt, right? And our goal as a business analyst is always to kind of see that beforehand so that you don't kind of screw yourself over. And when the need itself changes, the business analyst adapts by altering the plans and approach in order to ensure the values provided and delivered as part of the solution. What are the effectiveness measures for adaptability? Demonstrating the courage to act differently from others, adapting to changing conditions and environments, valuing and considering other points of view and approaches, demonstrating a positive attitude in the face of ambiguity and change, demonstrating a willingness to learn new methods, procedures, and techniques in order to accomplish goals and objectives, right? Like learning, change, approach, confidence, willing to take a risk, willing to fuck up and find out, right? Changing behavior, acquiring and applying new information and skills to address new challenges, perform effectively under changing or unclear conditions, the behavior that you need, acceptance or having changes made to tasks, roles, like having, it's not like I put this task that needs to be done. It's like if halfway through it needs to change, like change it. And altering interpersonal style to highly diverse individuals and like groups in a range of situations. Imagine you have to kind of zone in and narrow down how to interact with every individual, evaluating what worked and what did not, and what could be done differently next time, basically. That's basically behavioral characteristics. I think we're good for now. Yalla, talk to you. But the business knowledge is basically the third chapter of this, of the underlying competencies. Woohoo!